Welcome to the Borderlands Trail and Ultra Running Podcast. My name is Josh. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see I'm in a different place than normal. I'm in Salt Lake City. I left Paris yesterday. I'm going to be here for 72 hours to put on a race in Salt Lake. And someone I've gotten to know through the course of putting on this race and some other projects that we have going on at Borderlands is my guest today, Lindsay Dakota. Lindsay started Naked Sports Innovations 2014-15, incorporated by 2016. You know the belt. Even if you don't know the belt, you know the belt, because what does Will Googe and Jim Walmsley and David Roche, Tabor Hemming, Eli Hemming, Hans Troyer, what do they all have in common? It's something that that Lindsay came up with way back when. So we're going to dig into the running side of it, but then we're also going to be talking product. So this isn't just a Naked commercial. This is a conversation that's built around product design. But you can't deny the importance of the Naked running belt. I think I first encountered it possibly at Salt Lake Running. It's possible it was Salt Lake Running. It's possible that it was on the Single Track podcast with Finn. I don't know, but once I heard about it, then I just saw it everywhere. So before we go any further, Lindsay, welcome.
Thank
it's good
you.
To be we're in Curriculum right now. This is a shop in Salt Lake City. It's one of the coolest shops in Salt Lake, and I'm pumped to be in here. So Lindsay, glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here.
All right, let's talk. Let's just talk running. Like how does the Naked belt, like I said, is everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's still everywhere, which is kind of a testimony, because has the product changed much since 2014, 15?
Essentially, no. Well, when we originally designed it, it had 4 compartments.
Okay.
Actually, yes, 4 compartments. And I realized that by taking away one seam, I could increase it to 3 pockets, which increased its overall capacity.
Oh, interesting.
So you could get originally 2 500 milliliter flasks in there. Taking one seam out, now I could throw in 3 500 milliliter flasks. So 1.5 liters of water or whatever in this band is ridiculous. You know, it's good for most big races.
Yeah, 1.5 liters is great for a big pack.
Yeah. So essentially that's the only big change. But what we've done is we've listened to customers over the years and just kind of fine-tuned construction, fine-tuned little details that we just felt we could improve on.
Yeah, so I did Paris Eco Trail, which was a 50-miler, and I did the vest.
Yes.
And the pack. I did them both. When you're a faster runner, you can get by long distances with just the pack, because the time between aid station to aid station is maybe a 1.5 liter journey.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you're slower, sometimes that's like a 3 liter journey. So I had the pack.
Yeah.
With the 3 handhelds and I think it was 1.5 liter
amazing
bladder.
Yeah.
And it was a phenomenal experience. And so I'm stoked to be getting to do stuff with you.
Yeah, well, certain long races like UTMB, for example, you have certain safety requirements.
Yeah.
So, you do need to combine the band with a vest. And our vest and band combination is the same principle in construction and design.
Yeah.
It works beautifully together.
Yeah.
We got a cool product coming out for next spring that is going to amp up the capacity of this current band, and it's going to be exciting for longer races.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, what's crazy is, it doesn't get any longer than Will Googe's Transcon, and he was we were talking about this before we started rolling. Every photo of Will running across Australia had this chiseled shirtless physique with the Naked band right there.
Yeah, a Greek god running across Australia wearing the band every single day. So that's an amazing testament, especially considering running across the middle of Australia, which is not a cool place to run.
Right,
so,
right. Amazing.
So it was great.
Your background, from what I know, and you can maybe build around this for us, is that you were a designer, you were an architect, interior designer, furniture designer.
I hate to sound like a jack of all trades, but I would guess I would categorize myself as an industrial designer.
Oh, okay.
So I walk around, no matter where I go, what I'm looking at, what I see, I'm always thinking of a better way to do it, or a more beautiful way to do it. So that encompasses architecture, interior design, furniture design, you name it. I always feel really strongly that whatever I'm designing informs something else, whether it's a band informs a shirt or informs a chair or a dress or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's my core philosophy.
Okay, so when you were, what's the genesis of the Naked product then? Was there a moment where you were on a run yourself and had the idea, or were you looking in like a beautiful shop in Seattle, with all the great design, and thought, I'm going to take that and put it into running?
No, because nothing existed. So I had this kind of aha moment. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I'm running in the heat, 100 plus degrees in the Malibu mountains, and shirtless, working on my tan, you know, running, jumping, skipping over rattlesnakes and figuring out how to carry water and running out of water. And did not want to wear a vest more for vanity reasons because it would give me bad tan lines. But it was just like one of those things, like my design mind, and I was running a lot, I was competing, and it's just like boom. So I had that moment, and went home, sketched really quickly, and found a little seamstress in downtown LA, and we made a couple of them, and that was it.
So you were not in running professionally in any way?
I wasn't running professionally. I was competing. I was in the Xterra series. I was actually leading the Xterra series in Southern California. When I designed this, I was competing, you know, in local races and all that kind of stuff.
So what was the state of running in hydration at the time? It was just the big loose vest that bounced around a lot, couldn't compress?
Yeah. That's essentially it. And I was not going to wear that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, that was way too distracting because for me, you know, of course, running just in a pair of shorts and a shirt, I didn't even carry my cell phone, which was really stupid because I had stepped on rattlesnakes and luckily had not bitten on the skin, but bitten on the shoe. But, you know, you're 10 or 15 miles out in the mountains and that happens. You don't want to underestimate the ramifications of that. So, so I'm a minimalist. So I was just like, you know, let's just, you know, do this.
Build that
in
a way that... from a minimalist standpoint, and even just bringing in, we could probably go a direction of architecture. You could go a direction of any other products. Like when I see naked, part why it's not always easy to know if it's a naked belt or not. Sometimes because it's so minimalist. So it's like, hey, could that be replicated by another brand? Because it's just black. Like what is it about the naked band that's not so easily replicable? Because I see the yellow tags. The yellow tags always help me. But sometimes you just have black on black on black, right?
Yes, true. Well, you know, when we started out, it was just like, it was tiny.
Yeah.
It was just me and my brother, you know, and I'm designing, I'm making, I'm producing, I'm doing all that stuff, running the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'd get an order come in from Solomon and from Compressport, and they're ordering one of the bands. I'm like, dude, they're gonna kill us. They're gonna kill us, you know? Yeah, reverse engineer the product, and it was interesting because I had spoken with the designer of all the bags and packs at Solomon, and she was really sweet, and she's like, oh no, we're gonna come out with ours a year later, and I'm like, oh, thank God, because you guys would kill us at this point.
Yeah.
And this happened, you know, brand after brand.
Yeah.
We just kept our nose down and just focused on the product, making the best product we could possibly make.
Yeah.
And through that, we've just risen, and we're the world leader in it, and we're just staying focused on that. You know.
I think what's rare is that, I mean, what'd you say, 2014?
Yeah.
Incorporated 2016.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this 9 years as incorporated. You've kind of stayed true to that core product. I mean, a lot of brands. So let's talk other trail running brands. Let's take Ultra, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that they grew, they had their core initial product, the zero drop thing.
Yep.
And eventually, and no judgment, you know, they add 4 millimeters of drop because they're trying to expand the market.
Yeah.
And so they, you know, I admire it. I don't judge it. But at the same time, your band is still the band that was there. Like that, I feel like that's rather rare in product.
It is, and you know, to credit Ultra, I know the guys that started it. They're wonderful guys. You know, that change came about with ownership change.
Right.
And and that coincided directly with the VF Corporation's purchase of it. The brand is taking off. It's continued to take off.
Yeah.
You know, we've ventured into footwear, but we really are focused on making the best product we can possibly make. My wife's an actress and makeup artist, and she buys these little egg-like sponges. And this woman started with this one sponge, and she has kept that same core product her entire career, and she's a billionaire.
Oh gosh.
On this one product. Of course, she's expanded into different sizes and colors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, man, I'm going to make the best damn product in the world and stay with that. That's not to say that we can't go to other products, and do just as good a job. But there's also the perception from the public, what they're expecting from a brand.
Yeah.
you know, and if you're making bread and you come out with eggs the next day, people are going, whoa, wait, we thought you guys were bakers, you know, not egg farmers. So there's that challenge, and you can overcome those challenges with a ton of marketing dollars and things like that. But I digress. And we are focused on making the best damn hydration products in the world.
Yeah, I mean, so it says it's your core product. You know, if you go read Reddit or like the people who are fans of the belt, they've always wanted you to have shirts and running shorts, because if you could take that, you know, element of product design, which I'm excited to delve into product design of what you see in the rest of running, and then even kind of beyond running, because we're in this cool shop with cool products. Do you, I mean, as you stick to that one single product, I mean, where does how does someone like you who's a creative, how does your imagination not always be thinking about the next as an entrepreneur? Like, I'm always thinking, what else can I do? Not what am I doing now? The question is always, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Has that been hard?
It is. It's really, really hard. Because as a creator, I think we like to build things and we like to start things.
Yes.
It's the day-to-day, putting out the brush fires, which is just, it kills us.
Paperwork.
I frankly, I'm in my studio after hours. I'll paint, I'll design other products. I'll design products that might work with the brand currently, and to see how we can integrate those. I'm always looking at what's our our product roadmap look like, and what can I integrate. You know, we designed an amazing shoe which won all these awards, but the public wasn't ready for it. What would be the next segments? Maybe apparel, because that's our products are very apparel-like.
Yes.
That's the approach I took. I didn't take the backpack path. I took the apparel path when I created these products. So that would be a natural progression.
So the other night, I was with my wife and brother and sister-in-law, and we went to a cocktail bar in Paris called Hemingway Bar.
Oh, cool.
It's iconic. It's inside the Ritz. It was like, hey, it's a special occasion. We're going to go in there.
Very cool.
And there was a 5-ounce pour of cognac for 3,000 euros. And my comment at the table was, if Hemingway saw what became of his name, I think he'd be rolling over in his grave.
He would be.
If Picasso saw what became of his art and how it's protected by gatekeepers and kept from the people. I get that you're trying to preserve something, but I mean, the nature of art is it's a rare luxury for the artist to get to enjoy the spoils of their art in their own lifetime. Van Gogh never would thought that anybody liked it.
Yeah.
But also to some degree, all of these artists would also hate what it became or wished it didn't become such a thing. So with you, I think what's interesting about, I mean, to reduce this into product and product development, where you're coming from, is that you've gotten to see the spoils of some of your artwork in this belt, which is product design, it's industrial design.
Yeah.
I mean, just general thought, like what do you think about this whole line of thought, period?
Well, first of all, it's cool to see. I mean, to see professional athletes at the very pointy end of the races and, purchasing our product and wearing it. And that's really satisfying. You know, what you don't see are the days that we get, through our customer, and actually we have customer service that actually is a live person that talks to people and helps them through the fit process and everything. So, we hear about the complaints or well, can you do this, or what's my size? The little mundane stuff from day to day, but to see the brand to grow the way it has, and I can't even remember. I think we have distributors now in close to 40 countries.
Oh gosh. Around
the world.
Yeah.
Very, very large in Asia. They were one of the first adopters of our products.
Wow.
Yeah, well, listen. I would hope that I could see our success in my lifetime. You know?
Yeah.
I don't want my bands on the secondary market, being sold for thousands of dollars when I can't enjoy that income, right? That they produce. So,
but just as an artist, because in getting to talk to you a lot offline, like you think like an artist, you kind of move through the world like an artist moves through the world. So your band, yes, it's a product, but it's not a commodity. It's still like an expression of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was born out of my need and desire to have something that I wanted that didn't exist. So, which is a whole other story. You have a target on your back. Now you're trying to prove your product to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
No, I'm an artist, and it's.
I mean, actually, quite literally, Literally in the sense of you're a visual artist as well. You paint.
I do paint. I've always painted. I've shown in galleries, and that's a really close love of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting because my art is very much informed by my design.
Right.
You know, my paintings, I've also sketched dresses that look like my paintings.
Oh,
and a perfect example is the great American artist Ellsworth Kelly. He also produced dresses. And relaunched, before he died, they relaunched a limited edition run of dresses with Calvin Klein.
Oh, wow.
Like $40,000-$50,000 a dress. That look like his paintings, which I think is freaking brilliant.
Wow.
So
I'm going to grab the belt here because I'm going to ask you some questions. So within the context of the belt.
Yes.
And this is, so I thought we could bring a nice new one, but the reality is that, you know, I use this thing.
they get used and
daily.
abused, yeah.
So my least favorite position on design is when designers tell me that the purpose of design is exclusively to solve a problem. I never like that as someone who's not a product designer. I'd make an awful product designer. But I'm also not like this postmodernist who wants the stairs that go to nowhere, just whatever.
Yeah.
But the reality is that when you're looking at design, the average person, like I want to look at it and have like a visceral reaction to like, I love that.
Yes.
You know, like for you, it's minimal on here. When you're designing a product, I mean, so I always go back to this example. I was interviewing the founders of Speedland shoes, and I was like, oh, these shoes are beautiful. Like, the way that you did that, I just love all that. He's like, no, that was all to solve a problem.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, design solves a problem, but what's the value of beauty in product design? It can't just be to solve the problem, unless the problem is we don't have beautiful things in the world, and here's a solution. This is beautiful.
That's a big part of it. I'm with you on it. Yeah. There's that academic argument, right? That industrial design is and product design, which is the same thing, is to solve a problem. Yes, it is, but I want to do it in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And I think a good example, and even take it further than that. I think like a good example is Johnny Ive, and his designing with Apple products.
Yes.
Right?
He's been in the news.
Steve Jobs could not have done what he's done without Johnny Ive. And certainly those guys were thinking about beauty.
Yes.
And they weren't even thinking about solving a problem. They were thinking way past that, almost anticipating what a human needs.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize they need that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, with our product being so innovative at the time, because nothing existed, it's like nobody knew they needed that.
That's
and
right.
then all of a sudden, I designed it, and I trying to design it in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
Is like people are like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know I needed that, but yeah, now I need it. You know? But I'm always going to want to design it in the most beautiful way.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So here's an interesting observation that I hadn't thought about before, and that is what you were doing in 2014, which isn't that all that long ago, with the exception of running, has been in an exponential growth phase. The movement that's happening right now, let's say, the first time I ever heard anyone mention a silhouette in running was Satisfied, talking about a silhouette of the person in it. What does that look like? Yeah. And now we have awesome brands out there that are doing a beautiful job thinking that way, thinking about design from Soar to currently running Satisfy, name it. There's great ones. Yeah. No one was thinking that way when you did this just 9 years ago. No. Like I feel like on some level, like the silhouette here, like what you look like when you have this on, all of these sort of things at the time, which I tend to fit in this category of dirtbag more. Just give me something that works because I want to just go get lost in the mountains. Yeah. But the movement that's happening now, I feel like in some ways you were preemptive. Yeah. And with reference to some of these other brands, I think I would also mention Path Projects is doing beautiful stuff. Yeah. Which is great because we're all part of the Cascadia brand, you know, that whole Northwest coast. Interesting. We're all vibing differently than everybody else. And, you know, I was running in, you know, I'm from the Seattle area, so of course I ran in flannel shirts, right? We all look like, you know, Kurt Cobain running down the trail. Yeah. But it works. And so, we were preemptive in a sense. It's cool to see where the direction's going, and you know, you start to think about innovation because, I mean, innovation's in our name, and I cannot design products that have been done before. Right. I've got to do stuff that's new. I always refer to that as the Me Too. Like, there's a lot of money in Me Too. Oh yeah. But there's zero fun in it. Yeah, I mean, there's
20 brands that have these band products now,
Yeah.
you know. So, and I'm fine with that now. I wasn't fine with it in the beginning,
Right.
but now we're so established. But innovation is difficult in running because it's such a pure, simple sport.
Yeah.
You know, I've raced bicycles. I come from different kinds of sports, and there's so much room for innovation.
Yeah.
You know, and so to be really, truly innovative in running is difficult. I think we're seeing this sort of big, almost end of the arc of lifestyle or running as lifestyle. When we were designing this, it was all just product design,
Yeah.
right? Everything was function. If you take a look at what Arcterics was doing or Solomon, it was pure function.
Yeah.
And now
Yes.
Solomon, for example, has almost completely turned their back to that
Yes.
with the running segment.
Yes.
Now, they still produce amazing products, one of my favorite brands, but they're very much thinking about the streetwear.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and that, to me, it's a little bit worrisome as a runner because I'm like, I know fashion. I was in fashion.
Yeah.
And I know how cyclical that can be and how
Yeah.
quickly they will turn their back
Yeah.
to the next, you know, all of a sudden, let's say fly fishing becomes a big deal. Fly fishing will be all over running,
Yeah.
you know, so that sort of thing. So,
Well, I've got to give two. So this, I mean, you set this up perfectly, because off camera over here is Sam Losey. Come wave, put your face in front of the camera so they can see it. What he came up with, where he and I started to become friends, he pitched me on this, is that hey, all these running brands that seem to be more focused on design than function, and the price point is high, we need to hold them accountable for their performance as runners. So if they're marketing to runners, we need to make sure that that running component is there. So how does this work? So we're working on something called High Tones, where we're taking all of these expensive brands. So the reason I didn't put Path in that personally is because they're still affordable,
yeah.
because they're a direct-to-consumer model, I think. But so are some of the others. But they're affordable, whereas I think of the movement as like everything has 3 digits.
Yep.
And Path has most stuff below 3.
Yeah.
Though it's still beautiful. Brian Rather, who designs for them, I mean, he was a principal in-house designer. He was the head of the in-house brands for Huckberry for 6 years.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's doing with
Yes,
design, but he's still been
absolutely.
able to design affordably. So what we're trying to do with High Tones is to say, hey, great, market to runners, but none of your marketing is actually giving us anything on performance. And so now I'm contradicting myself. Like, you can make it beautiful, but it has to work for the runner.
Yeah.
And I think that to your point, you set it up beautifully. That's a problem we're trying to solve.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing brands with, you know, $300 plus hydration vests. There's zero reason why that should be happening other than it's just positioning in the marketplace.
Yes.
Our products tend to be at maybe the 90th percentile in terms of price, but we absolutely back that up with materials.
Remind me what something like this costs.
So the original running band is $55.
Yeah, that's...
The SL is $48, and there will be a $60 price point coming next spring for certain items.
I mean, that, to
comparably.
me, and I mean this as a compliment, as the dirtbag demographic, that's still squarely in the dirtbag demographic.
It is, but in terms of what's out there, in terms of competition, it's still at the higher end.
Yeah.
I mean, could we make one and sell it for $150 or $200? Sure, but who's going to buy it? Right. I mean, you can see it in social media, on influencers, but that doesn't tell you that they're being sold.
Yeah.
That just tells you that people are wearing it for
Yeah.
a photo. So yeah, it's an interesting discussion.
So I could talk about this forever. I do want to make sure we hit on are there any other running brands right now from a product design standpoint that you see and that you just are excited, like you get pumped on? Could be apparel, could be shoes, could be anything.
Yeah, I think brands that are really killing it right now in the running segment that are still kind of in the position of more outdoor brands. I think Norona is doing an amazing job, the Norwegian brand.
Okay.
I think they're the next, or the new, currently Arcterics.
Whoa.
I think Arcterics is they're an incredibly innovative brand.
Yeah.
Very high end, of course. They're my homies from Vancouver.
Really? Their new line of shoes are
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh my God.
They're
yes.
beautiful. I haven't
They're
put them on my
amazing.
feet yet, but they look amazing.
They look amazing. And of course, everything they're doing, whether it's the retail presentation is fantastic. Norona's doing the same thing. I mean, they have outdoor cruises. They have and that sounds a little bit weird, but it's a hardcore brand.
Yeah.
You know, and they have stores all around the world now. They're opening up. Their craftsmanship's impeccable. I think Bandit's doing a cool job out of New York. Path, Soar, Satisfy. You know, let's see who else. One brand I'm really into is Veilance.
Yes.
Which is the Arcterics urban brand.
Yeah.
And they have done the most perfect job of transitioning what they have done and what's their core into a product line that is completely different than their original kind of what they do. However, it's all their experience in your craftsmanship and their bonding and their materials.
Okay, help me put words to this, because I know Veilance. I have a friend here in town, Asher, who's been, you know, he's in that world of.
Yeah.
He's not a runner, but he's been in that, you know, where Veilance lives and beyond, for years. When I go into an Arcterics in Paris, you can go to the Veilance section downstairs, and it's a beautiful jacket with no tags on it.
Yep.
So I can never remember Veilance, the name.
Yeah.
And even when I go see it, I'm like, well, they're not going to even put Veilance on there. And the jacket is, you know, 1,800 to 2,200 euros for a big jacket.
Yeah.
But when I see it, it still makes me think Arcterics.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Why? How do you pull that off?
There's a certain design language that they're using. There's ways that they're cutting their material, which, for want of a better word, would be angular. There'll be a lot of where seams come, or there's a separation of seams. It'll be like in a V. Might be a staggered hem.
Okay.
There's a certain design language that the designers they're staying very true to.
Yeah.
And they're doing a brilliant job. And I believe that they came up with the Veilance line, just as a bit of a background on that, because they created that at a time when it was not cool for an outdoor brand to produce a line like that.
Yeah.
It's similar to how the North Face. Back when I was designing at Ralph Lauren in New York, way back in the day, the kids were wearing these big puffer jackets, right, with their suits going to Wall Street and sort of thing. And that was such a whole new thing to do. Yeah. And then of course, that kind of grew, and really that's where we are today.
Yeah.
The integration of fashion and sport, you know. But when the North Face did a Gucci collab, it did not do well. Even though it was cool, I think it was a cool idea, but they really burned their core customer.
So one of the ways that I like to think about this, and I interviewed Tim Soar, who started Soar Running.
Yeah.
He's a former DJ. It was fun to talk music. I'm a musician.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've actually said I am a musician since 2012. I was a musician.
You're always a musician.
And I kind of am again.
Yeah.
My question that you answered around the product design and why does Veilance feel like Arcterics, the question in my world is, how does a great album. I just watched a documentary that I highly recommend about yacht rock. Really, Bill Simmons put it together. Stunning documentary. Just like how incredible that music was. Like the musicians, like Christopher Cross, all these people coming out of late '70s, early '80s. What makes an album compared to just a bunch of songs that are together?
Right.
And so, you know, as a producer, you look to do. You have a common thread that works its way all the way through it. And in music, sometimes that's like a certain type of organ. Yeah. It's a certain way that background vocals come together. Do you do gang vocals on it? Do you have 20 people singing behind the main singer on 4 or 5 of the songs, and you're trying to make that whole album feel like it all belongs on that one album. And U2, you can think any iconic great album, you can say, oh, that I don't know that song, but that sounds like it's from this album. Yeah. I think so. As a product designer at Naked, this is where it would be so hard for me. But I think, okay, you're going to add a new product. If you're going to add a new product to Naked, what are the core components that make it Naked? You know what I mean? That make it feel like it's the same album. Yeah, exactly. That's a great analogy. You can just to go back to music. With music, you when you come out with an album, I think you're almost telling a bigger story across all the songs. Yeah. And then, of course, you brand it with a beautiful cover, right? With great photography or art or whatever, and that kind of pulls everything together and tells me, the customer, the consumer wanting to buy your album, oh, this is what this is kind of about. And trust me, I've bought stuff like that purely on that
alone.
Yes.
But then, you know, I'm a
Or it's
creative.
like buying a wine bottle purely for the label.
Oh, I do it all the time
Yes.
because how do I know what it tastes like? Right?
Exclusively,
And I'm a visual
yeah.
guy, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to buy the best
If
label.
it's going to taste bad, I don't care if it tastes bad. I just want to enjoy what I'm
Exactly.
looking at.
I'm going to peel that label off under hot water and frame it. And with music again too, you have a mixer or a producer, and one of my best friends back on Vashon Island is a big music producer and mixer for Seattle. Worked with Mark Lanigan, Screaming Trees, and
Oh my gosh.
One of my friends, Chris Ballou, presidents of the United States of America.
Oh my gosh.
He worked with them as well. So he's bringing his mindset to that, right? And that
Wow.
so you when you hire Martin, you hire him for his expertise in
For his
sound,
fingerprint,
right?
yeah.
So now when we design products, what I'm thinking of is the brand overall. It has to work within that whole brand, that visual language of the brand.
Yeah.
And then backed up by, well, this is the way we do seams,
Yeah.
and the way we do seams here in the running band will be the same way we do seams in the vest,
Yeah.
because we know that's the best way to do it.
Oh man.
So-
I can't. So the reference, talk about visceral reaction to something, to reference President of the United States of America.
Yeah.
That album, it took me to an exact spot in my life, like a very
Wow.
difficult moment in my life. To age myself, I was in 7th grade, I think, when Peaches
Yeah.
came out, maybe 6th grade, 6th or 7th grade when Peaches came out. We just moved from Fort Worth, Texas, where I had a million friends, to Lubbock, Texas, where I did not belong at all. But I remember Peaches, I remember they had 2 strings on their guitar instead of 6. And so like just everything to me, like it's a stamp. So I
Yeah.
think, so let's call that song a product.
Yeah.
And because of what that product was, I encounter the product and it takes me to an exact moment in time. Music has a unique power in that, but I also think
yeah.
if I were to run across Australia wearing this belt, every time I see this belt, it has the power to be the same thing, like this icon that takes you back to a specific place.
It's going to be, I think with running and runners specifically, I think our band becomes like that favorite old pair of blue jeans you pick out of the closet,
Yes.
because it's so comfortable. It has so full of memories, and
Yes.
it just, you're going to put it on and it's going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I have brand new jeans sitting in my closet, never worn, because I'm always pulling out the ones with all the patches on, and
Yeah.
it just feels better, right?
Yeah.
So I think, with what Will did in Australia, which is clearly a crazy environment to run in, he tried our product, trusted it, and he knew every day when he got up, he was going to put that thing on,
Yes.
and it was going to back his run up 100% and not fail him. I was at the UTMB one year, and one of the runners was in 2nd place, halfway across, started having problems with his vest, and it almost killed his race. And that is exactly what I don't want to happen with Naked products.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to trust our products,
Yeah.
put them on, and forget about it. I mean, that's where our name comes from.
Yeah.
We want you to enjoy the outdoor experience.
Yeah.
And not be thinking about all the crap that you have to carry.
It's okay. This is the perfect intersection. I think as we start to land the plane, which I hate to do because I've got to go do quality control on the
Right.
course for a race tomorrow.
Right.
Is that you just perfectly brought us to the intersection of product design and like function and design. So we're talking about this sort of ethereal place of design and how does it work and how does it interact, but also what becomes unique with products that you have to trust it to perform. So as a runner, I can wear my shoes every day to an extent. If I'm doing a transcon, which is how many people? Not too many, but the principle remains: my shoes and my hat. I could really wear those every day.
Yeah.
Everything else needs to be changed except for my pack also.
Yeah.
But the shoes, I would imagine you're doing even in a 100-miler, people are changing shoes. 200-milers, I know they're changing shoes. But you can keep the Naked belt on the whole time. My friend Ryan Ramsby, who writes our 100 plus stuff, he said that the Naked belt will be on him the entire Tahoe 200. So there's few items that get to be with you the whole time, except maybe a hat and your belt.
Yeah, and I think one area we talk about innovation is I think triathlons, for example, is rife for innovation. It's a great place for innovators and a lab for innovation. And we're always trying to convince triathletes, it's like, you can wear this product, put this on, and then put your wetsuit on over it, and you start your swim leg wearing that, because this product and all of our products function exactly the same whether they're dry or whether they're soaking wet. Now, when you take your wetsuit off and you're getting into your run portion, or I guess next it's the bike portion, whatever it is, you're always looking to shave seconds off at your transition.
Yeah.
And so this is one product you can keep on all the entire race.
Yeah.
And,
so the ability to connect with it emotionally.
Yeah.
It's probably not. I mean, that's not how dirtbags certainly think about stuff, but it's so true. Like you see it, it's that thing that's always with you. I think that's fascinating.
Well, I mean, I think that. I think dirtbags, they have an affinity for certain. Definitely have affinity with a certain product, right?
I think they're more superstitious. They're more like old school, like baseball athletes who don't change their underwear for the playoffs. I think dirtbags are a little bit more superstitious. So
true,
they would know it without precisely saying it.
I mean, how many dirtbaggers you see in down jackets with duct tape all over them, right? Like they're not giving that jacket up.
Yeah,
it's been on too many great climbs, right?
Everyone I know, I know has that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, hey, I've got to get off to the race, which you're in town right now because you're joining us for the race.
Yes.
And thank you for that. You're our Naked is the podium sponsor.
Yep.
Which is awesome. We've got some super speedy runners that are running this race, so we'll have some fun people on that podium. So
they'll probably be wearing our product, but we're happy to give them to other people that don't wear the product.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Good point. Well, thank you. I appreciate
Thanks, Josh.
it.
Appreciate it, man.